Okay. So Maria talked last week, high level overview of social media. And, you know, one of the things that we're in agreement with is that, and this is for Sharon too, is that you don't have to be worried about having to post every day, depending on what your goals are. Okay. Really, like she talked about last week, if you post minimum once a week, that's really all you need to do. Now, if you want to do more brand awareness and all that, then you need to do a little more. But really nowadays, social media is more so used for brand awareness. And when we talk to a lot of remodelers, designers, architects, where they believe social media is when they first want to use it, or they say, okay, I want to do social media, they believe about lead generation. And just the organic posting is not going to get you to getting leads. It's going to be more about brand awareness. Now, if you want to get leads through social media, it's going to be about adding money behind what you do. I'm not going to talk a lot of on that now because I don't know how much you follow social media, but the Facebook uh, ads platform just changed a few weeks ago, and there's been a lot of updates. And we've had to change how we run some ads for some of our clients on social media because of that. And for anyone that's running ads in house, I would say either A, make sure who's ever running your ads is being trained consistently so they can keep up on what's happening, or you need to outsource it to to a company that keeps up to date on what's happening, because with the new change, if you aren't following the new guidelines, you're going to waste a lot of money. So this actually happened a while back, about a year or two ago, when you were running Facebook ads. A lot of people didn't know when you run Facebook ads, you automatically run Instagram ads because you got to turn it off to not run Instagram ads, but it automatically runs on Instagram. So there was a lot of business owners wasting a lot of money on Instagram when they thought all of the ad spend was on Facebook ads, but it was actually uh, it was on Facebook ads and it was on Instagram. So they had changed up a lot of that. And so I'm just saying all that to say I'm not going to talk a lot about ads at all. But if anybody here wants to run ads, let me know. I'll have my team take a look at your ad account and we'll offer suggestions on how to use it. Okay. I just, because that's not something to talk about ads is is a bunny hole that uh, I don't want to go down unless you're going to, like I said, you're going to have somebody in house that's going to keep up to date on what's happening. Because I didn't even know everything changed until I was preparing, to talk about this. And we looked, and then we saw what was happening. We saw how it changed a lot of stuff. So I was just like, I'm not really going to even talk about ads. But like I said, if anybody on here is running ads and you want to talk about ads, let me know. I'll have my team, take a look, and we'll either hop on and run you through what we can, how you should enhance it or whatever. But this is going to be all organic. Okay. Just FYI. Okay. So, and what we're going to really talk about today is doing a competitor analysis of all of the competitors in your area, learning what they do, and having that help you in your social media strategy, but also in your content strategy. Honestly, you can learn a lot from your competitors that will help you out in terms of SEO content, in terms of email, ads, website information, a lot. I'm going to use one example of one of the designers we have worked with in the past and how we use this same analysis. And now she opened up a whole new area of the business where she's making just as much money on that side as she is on the side. So I'm going to talk about that just a little. Okay. So just to get into uh, the analysis. So the importance of doing, a social media analysis is it really helps you with marketing. Oftentimes when we've talked in the past to clients that we're going to do a social media analysis, that I'm not even running social media, or we're not doing a lot with social media. One of the reasons you want to do a social media analysis is because it not only helps you with social media, but it helps you with every other media. So, like I said, because you're going to learn a lot about what your clients are doing, how often they post, what they post about, who they're posting to, what type of things they talk about. That can inform you a lot on your own marketing strategy for your clientele. And so that's good, analysis that you can do to help you out with what you do. So it's not just about social media, it's about understanding your own marketplace, what the competitors are doing, how they're doing it, and how you can take that information and apply it to your own. Also, it helps you with cost effective outreach, because oftentimes you may see that you're talking about certain things that are not resonating with your audience. And if you find a competitor that's actually doing social media posts that's getting a lot of engagement and you're not doing XYZ, you may say, okay, what I'm doing over here is not working. But so for instance, if you were talking a lot about just generic topics, you were talking about lighting, you were talking about countertops, you were talking about flooring, you were talking about whatever, and you saw that one of your competitors is actually talking a lot about uh neoclassical architecture, just the same, and they're getting a lot of engagement there, and you know about that, but you're really not talking about. Now, if you start to post about that and or write blogs about that and or do email about that, and you're starting to get engagement and get more interest, now you were seeing what you were doing before was actually wasting time. And we found that, a lot with this analysis, okay? So just, learning from it, like I had talked about, you're going to learn about the engagement aspect. Like I said, on the organic side, not so much. I'm gonna show you, and I showed this last year, how you can look at the ads that your competition is running, and that will help you a lot in terms of the engagement. Because nowadays, I don't know how much y'all know about the algorithm, but ever since when Facebook when they went public about 6-7 years ago, they changed their algorithm, where what you post now, less than 5% of your audience see what you post. That changed before, where before they went public, you used to have in between 40 to 60% of your audience would see what you post, and they would have to literally say, I don't want to see this anymore, or whatever, on the feed. Now, when they went public, it's all about answering to the shareholders. And so they need you to give them more money. And that was one of the ways they can do that, is by boosting the post. That's the point of boosting, is to let all of your audience. So if you have 100 people that are actually following, if you do a post, only 4 or 5 of them actually see it at all. And that's by the algorithm. That's intentional. So to have the other 95 see it, you have to boost the post to have them see it, or a lookalike audience see it. And so that's one of the ways that they've hurt the engagement across Instagram, Facebook, and a lot of other platforms. And a lot of other platforms have actually followed suit. TikTok is not that way yet, but we foresee it will get that way, but it's not that way yet. But a lot of the engagement now, so more so happens, you got to go viral. There's a specific way that can happen. I'll go high level over that, not too much, because most designers and remodelers, architects don't have the time to do what you would have to do to go viral. And the other way is to have money behind. Okay. But usually on the organic side, it's harder to get out there to all of your audience and to grow that way. That's why having to post every day is really not essential. anymore. Really, what the posting is about now is to make sure you have up-to-date information. So if anybody is on your website, if anybody you had met them on networking and they saw your business card, they're going to check your social media platform along with your website. That's just obvious. And so you just want to have something on there that's recent as of a week ago. That's all. And so that's really more so what it's about nowadays. It's just about the brand awareness. Okay. We had talked about the brand voice, knowing that what your brand voice is all about, that is being conveyed correctly in your social media posts. Sentiment intelligence. This is an aspect. If Jeff, what I had talked about at the start, there's going to be two different sets of homework. So I have a homework for just the business owners. If you don't have anybody in-house that's helping you, just to do that. And then for if you have somebody in-house that's helping you, we're going to get more into the sentiment, intelligence of it, understanding all that, because that's going to be a little more work at that side. Then the content, differentiation. This is, like I said, in the analysis, you're going to learn a lot that's going to help you out more so for content across all platforms, not just for social media. Like I said, the emphasis of this, competitor analysis is not just for social media. It's about understanding what's happening around you to help you with content for all of your marketing channels. Okay. Some of the platforms, a lot of people don't recognize blogging as a platform, but it is a social media platform. Honestly, it's one of the original social media platforms that a lot of people forget, that actually blogging way back in the 90s was the first social media platform. So that was the platform where you would write content, people would engage with the blog, and then you would start a conversation there. So that was the impetus of all of this social media stuff, was blogs. So that's why I actually have blogs on here, because blogs was actually one of the first social media platforms. So you all know about X and Twitter. You all know about Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and I have the video platform. So that's inclusive of YouTube, Vimeo, and all. But also, I didn't have it in there, but TikTok, even though it's not specifically listed, it will be more so classified as a video, because to do TikTok, it's all about video, short form video. So that's what that's all about. So what I'm about to talk about now is the reach. And this is what I mentioned earlier. So I said 5%, but when we did the research as of last week, less than 2%, 2.2% of your audience see what you post. So if you have 100 subscribers and you do a post, two people will see that post on Facebook. On Instagram, about 9. On LinkedIn, about 5. And on Twitter, about 4. So like I said, when Facebook went public and they started to answer to the shareholders and they started to have you boost the posts, that was the start of the ending of engagement on the organic side. And a lot of the other platforms have actually followed suit. LinkedIn, Twitter, same way. Okay. So I'm saying all this to say is that to ease your mind, that you don't have to worry about posting every single day, because it's not really going to help you unless you're going to put money behind it, or you're going to do a lot of video, whatever, to go viral and have it happen that way, which, like I say, a lot of designers, remodel architects are not going to do that. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time. Okay. So with the competitive analysis, there's, a few things we want to look at. We want to identify the competitors. Okay. So initially you have competitors that you already have in mind. There are companies in your area that you already know that you've either worked with in the past, not worked with in the past. You may like them, you may hate them, you may refer prospect to them. You may say, don't ever use them in the past. I mean, ever. So you already know in your mind who they are. You also have Google or the search engine. So when you do a search for either kitchen remodeling, you could do custom cabinets, you could do bathroom remodeling, whatever it is for you, you want to look at who's at the top of search for the map pack and also for the organic search. So let me head here so I can just show an example. So if I was to do if I do kitchen remodeling near me, okay. So you're going to see in the maps, no, that's the Google local service. So you'll see in the map area here, and you'll also see in the organic listing, this is who search views as the competitor. So you may see in this list companies you haven't ever heard of, but you want to look at them because even though you may not view them as your competition, search engine does. So unless they're completely opposite of what you do, you want to include them in your analysis. Okay, so you have your initial who you know as, and you want to also see who search has as your competitors as well. Okay, because ultimately, whether it be search, SEO, whether it be social, whether it be email, whatever, if search or Google views them as your competitor, whatever you do marketing wise, they're going to probably pop up next to you in whatever you do. Okay, so that's why you want to also include them in your analysis, not just the competitors that you know. All right. Head back here. Okay. Then with the platform, one of the reasons you want to identify the competitors is you want to see what platforms they're on. So you want to look at, the competitors. You want to do about three of them, three or four, or say, I would say two or three that you know, and one on the search engine side that you may not have thought of. And then you just want to do a quick analysis, which you can look on their website to see where are they on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, are they on TikTok? Do they have a YouTube account, Vimeo? So you just want to see where are they. This helps you to see where they are and if they are your competitors to analyze what they're communicating out there to your potential prospect as well. So you just want to see what platforms they're on. You want to look at the usage. Okay, how frequently are they posting? Like I said, if they post every day, that does not mean you have to post every day, but you just want to see how often they're doing it. What is the type of content they are putting out there? Are they talking about their team? Who the owners are, who actually works with them. Are they talking about the projects that they do? Are they listing them out there? How are they talking about the projects? Are they listing about the manufacturers that they work with? Are they talking about any of the community service that they do? So you just want to see the type of posts that they have out there. And then you want to look at the engagement, like I said, at not so much as to how many people liking, sharing, but how often are they having the likes and shares? Because they may only have one like here, two likes there, two shares here, two shares there. If they have that, that's good, because nowadays in the organic side, like I had talked about, less than, like we saw, 2% of the audience are seeing it. So if they do not have a large audience, they're not expected to have a large engagement either. But if they have any engagement at all, that's good, because nowadays it's actually harder to find any engagement nowadays. Okay. Then with the the strategy effectiveness. I'm gonna talk a little bit about this when we analyze the ads that they do. And then I'm gonna also talk about the benchmarking also. And then the threat, that's looking more so at once you have looked at all of this, doing like a SWOT analysis, and we'll talk a little bit about that heading also into a gap analysis. So what have you seen that the competition is doing that you're not, and what can you learn from that to start to incorporate into your own marketing content strategy? All right. And then this is, like what I talked about with the SWOT analysis. This, like I said, this is going to be more so if you have somebody in house helping you with this. This is going to be more so the homework for them than for the owners, because this is a little involved, looking at all of the aspects of the competition, and what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, are there any threats that may be happening for instance, like a threat could be they're actually promoting the same type of product that we are at a cheaper price. That could be a threat. Okay, so if they have for sale, a certain countertop that you actually specialize in, they're actually, and they each either have a video on it or they have something on it. They have a certain angle to how they're marketing it that you're not. That could be a potential threat to having them take aspects of your market share for that product. Or if they're selling cabinets at a cheaper, price than you, if it's the same exact thing, the same exact value, whatever, may not be. But that's, that's potential threat. Just handing you an example. Then with the opportunities, you're more so looking at everything that you've analyzed. Are there any gaps? Is there anything that they're not doing or that the competition is not doing that I can do more of that can help me take market share from everybody else? Okay. And then this is just about, conducting, a competitive analysis. There are some platforms out there that can help you with this, and I'll touch a little more on those a little later, that can help you with this. And that's about analyzing the platforms, having the platforms doing a lot of the analysis, handing you the information so you can interpret all of that data and then turn that into, what the gap analysis or what the SWOT could be. And then, so that's that aspect. Evaluating the content performance. This is looking at what is the type of content your competition shares. How is that going across? Like I said, in terms of a little bit of engagement, but also are they sharing the same type of content over and over again? So if they're talking about projects, are they talking about projects all the time? Or are they switching it up for other things, like talking about the team, like I said, having in their community service information, having in there any industry stats or information or anything like that? Okay. Documenting the platform specific insights. We're going to talk a little bit about this when we talk about analyzing ads. And then conducting a SWOT analysis. So taking all of this information that you learn and then understanding how can it help you with your own content generation in the future. Okay. So I'm gonna go over the homework first, and then I'm gonna head back into some of the analysis. So if you have somebody in-house helping you, what I want on the homework side, I want the individual to actually look at the competitors, look at your primary competitors, so your primary ones are the ones that you automatically. So these are the people that you may have talked to in the past, you may not like, whatever, that you already know who they are. The secondary competitors, those are ones that you may find secondary and the tertiary are a little bit of the search. So you can find these on the search in saying who does Google or Yahoo or whoever view as your competitors. Those are the ones you want to add to the list. And if you have somebody helping you, have them look at about 4 or 5. Okay. And then half of that, about 3 of them will be who you already know, and then the other 2 will be who search engines finds the names. Then you want to track the metrics. So looking at, how many followers they have, what the engagement is like, what the content mix looks like, all of that, and then what that breaks down to, and then analyzing the actual content. What is their highest performing posts? I'm gonna show you how to look at that. What the brand voice is, what the type. So, is it more humorous? Is it more serious? Are they asking a lot of questions? So that's helping to give you some information about how they try to communicate with the audience, and then what the type is. So that's helping you out there in terms of what the type of content that they're actually producing for their audience, and then are they receiving comments? And if they are, what are the comments that they're receiving from the audience, and are they responding in how? Because you can actually learn a lot from your competitors in the comments and the post they have, and there's somebody asking a question, and how they answer that question can help you out as well. And then these are just some of the specialized tools that you can use in the analysis. Sprout Social, BuzzSumo, whatever, if you have access to this. Some of these tools have free 7-day trials, which you can try for a week just to do the analysis and not have to pay for it and cancel. We've actually had a couple clients do that. They used a lot of these tools for a week, did the analysis, and then didn't have to pay after it. Okay. So this is if you have somebody help. Okay. Now, if you do not have somebody helping you, and this is the business owner, this is the minimum amount of homework that I want you to do. Okay. So you need to identify the competitors, and then have at least one secondary. So you can have 3 competitors max. 2 of them who you already know, one of the search. And then when you analyze what the posts are, what the content is, and then what the comments. So that's at a minimum if it's just the owners and you don't have anybody helping. Okay. So that's the home. All right. So as an analysis, just to show. So I'm going to show, so Tracy, I know she's here within the Dallas area. She's one of the first clients we ever had right around 2016. Okay. And when she was doing social media, she didn't really have a strategy around it. She was just, posting at the time, whatever was happening at the time, whether it be about a client, whether it be about a project, whether there was no rhyme or reason around anything that she would post. It was just posted at the time. So when we started to work with her, we actually did an analysis of the competition. At the time, this was around 2016, 17. There was not a lot of emphasis on, the continuation of posts. Video was not as huge as it is now. So what we learned at that time for her that helped her out was there was not really anybody out there that really had a brand message for the end user. Most of the time, at that time, most of the designers were talking about themselves, about their products, their projects, their awards, or whatever, but they were not really communicating to the end user what they wanted to hear, or like what any how to anything, or any this is what you need to do if you do anything DIY stuff or anything like that. We were not seeing any of that here within the Dallas area, within the DFW area. Now, that may have been happening in other areas, but that was not happening here. So now don't compare what you do now to her, because she's at a whole nother level now. Now she does a lot of video now, and you can see a lot of this. But one of the main things we learned is that a lot of the competitors out there were not really communicating to the audience or the end user effectively about what they do. And one of the things Tracy took from that is she was she actually capitalized on that, because she had started to do more learning and more training in the videos that she have. She doesn't do as much of that now because she already has a name in this area. But what happened, she started to hear from a lot of designers, in this area and in other areas about what are you doing? And she started to teach them, and she saw that there was a gap in the coaching. So she actually opened up, and let me show. So this is her website here that she had redone about 2 years ago. We didn't do it. We had stopped working with her around 21 because she now has an in-house team that we had trained, but she had this done around 22. But one of the things that happened is right around 21, she actually opened up a coaching program to help other designers to actually teach them what to do in terms of social media, to teach them what to do in terms of how to communicate to the end user to get your right type of client. So this was a gap she saw in the coaching realm from the social media analysis, from the competitors in our area that she applied, that she started to get a lot of traction. And then she turned that into a coaching program, which she actually gets just as much money on the coaching program as she does with her design. So this was one of the examples I had wanted to show that from this, simple, social media analysis is not just about social media. It's about understanding what is happening in your area with your competition and what they're doing, to understand where there are gaps that you can capitalize on it, and you can either add in, or you can really become an expert in certain areas that your competition is not fulfilling in whatever it may be. Okay. So just to take an example on, if we were to look at, let me look at, and I'm a look at, so I'm not looking at anybody in particular. So what you want to look at when you're analyzing your competition, like I said, you want to see how often they post. And I just, chose the NKBA because I didn't want to choose a designer in this area. But so what you want to look at is how often they post. So you're looking at the dates. You want to look for, if you're just for the business owners, if you don't have anybody helping you in house, you want to only look at the last 90 days. That's it. So we're in April, so you want to look to around February. So you want to go back to right where they were around February. So right around, that's December. So right around here and up. So this is what you want to look at. How often did they post within the last 90 days? Now, if you have somebody helping you, have them look for about 6 months minimum, honestly, a year, because you're going to learn a lot of information if you could look at your competition on what's happened over the last year. But minimum 6 months for if you have help. If you do not have help, 90 days. Okay. So you just want to look at, okay, how often have they post? So if we look at February, okay, so that's the 7th, that's the 8th, then that's off. So it's off a little bit too. So honestly, they had 2 in February, March, and it's all over the place sometimes. And I'm actually I was in 24. So they haven't had any this year. To be honest, just that one there. Yeah, they only had one in February and they had two in March. So they didn't. So you can almost immediately say from this competitor that they're not either active on Facebook. This is why you want to look at other platforms, because this is where we looked at Facebook. Now on Instagram, you want to see if it's the same. So if they have their Instagram profile. So you saw here within 90 days, they only posted 3 times. So if we look at Instagram, let's see, when was this? This one. And I got everything in the way, so I can't see dates. January 2003, 2023. This is February 18th. Okay, so that was February. This was February. Okay, so you only have so whereas on the Facebook side, they had 3, Instagram, they have 5. So if they had any other platform, you just want to look at how often it happened within that 90-day platform. And you want to look at what they actually posted as well. So if we look at Facebook, now, since this is an organization and not your actual competition, it's going to be a little different. But just high level, we're looking at, so they're mainly promoting events because this is the local chapter of the NKBA. So this is going to mainly be about events. But you'll see here at a high level, they have the event here. This is about the staff that and who the leadership is here. And then the event, and then also looking at the Instagram side. They have the event here, and they show what happened here. They have an event that's happening here, event, and that's it. It's just event. So they're not talking about anything else other than events. So they're not talking about any. Now, what they could talk about from the organizational side, they could talk about some of the sponsors that they have. They could promote some of the sponsors, like because we meet every month at a new place. They can act, and I've actually already had this conversation with them and talked about this. They can actually promote some of the sponsors that are actually hosting us at their events and just do a post ahead of time, know about who they are, what they do, or whatever. And that also helps them, because if they promote on their side, now they're more likely to promote the event on their side. And that's going to help to up, who actually shows up. Okay. So that's something that can happen here, but you just want to look at all the platforms. Like I said, not just one. Look at all the platforms, what they're posting and how often and what they're posting about. Okay. So that's the first thing you want to look at. What you want to also look at is the imagery. Okay. Is the information consistent? Because this is also talking about, the branding of you. So from an end user looking out, like I said, this is a little harder to tell here. But if we were looking at one of your competitors and they had low quality images, or they had images that were not at focus, or they had one image where they showed, they showed the kitchen remodel where they had a lot of people in it. Then they showed another one where they had a bath remodel that was a before image, but they didn't have the after, or they had like a team image. You just want to see what the quality of the images are. Is there a consistency in the branding? How is that conveyed, and what is happening in terms of the likes and the shares or whatever? Like I said, not too critical of this, because without paid, it's hard for you to have a lot of engagement. But you just want to see, okay, if you see, and a lot of the times now you can't tell on Facebook how many people are following. On Instagram, you can. So you can see at a high level how many followers they had. So here you can get a better understanding if you click on this. Okay, you had 6 people of the 1,000 engage with that. Okay. Now you have to remember, heading back to the slide on Instagram, I think it was like only 8%. So of the 1,000, what is that? That's only like about 80 or so that will see it. So of the 80, six of them like it. Okay. So that's if you have engagement rates, anything above a 10% is good. If you have anywhere, I would say anywhere between 10% and about anywhere in between 10 and about 25% is good. That's your over average. The majority of your competition is going to be under 10% of the engagement that's happening on the post wherever. So they're going to be beneath the 10%. Anything between 10 to 25% is good. Over 25% to 50%, they're doing something you really need to pay attention to, because obviously whatever they're, and if it's consistent over 25% on the post, they're doing something that you need to see. Okay, what are they doing? Is it the content, the imagery? Is it the consistency? Are they doing video? What are they talking about? Whatever. Over 50%, that's highly unlikely. But if that happens, if you see a competitor over 50% engagement, you almost want to copy what they're doing. I mean, because obviously what they're doing, if they're your exact same audience, this is assuming they're your exact same audience, and you want to understand it to copy it in your own way, not a direct copy, put your stuff on there or their stuff on yours. But you want to completely look at what they're doing, saying how you can do it in your voice, your brand voice for your audience. Because if they have over a 50% engagement, that's an anomaly. That's not normal. So whatever they're doing, you need to copy. But like I said, anything between, more than likely, most of your competitors are going to be anywhere between 10 to 25% on average, or below 10%. That's where you're going to fall most likely. Okay. So you're looking at all this information to understand what they do. Okay. Something else you can do that can help you is understanding ads. So I'm gonna just look at one of the sponsored posts. Okay. So you can also look at your competitors to see if they are running ads. So I'm gonna just look at this because I know if it says sponsored, it's an ad that they're actually promoting to me. So go to their Facebook profile. You want to click on About, and you want to look at the page transparency, and then you want to look at their ad library. Okay. This right here shows you all the ads that are actually running and if they're active or not. Because if they're not active, it'll be red right here, not green. So if the ad is active, if the ad has been, if your competitor is running an ad and it's been running over 90 days, 9 times out of 10 they're making money off the ad, and or they're getting a lot of engagement off that ad. Because usually you want to run an ad for minimum about 60 days to see what's happening with the algorithm. At about the 90-day mark, you're going to see either the engagement drop, you're going to see the sales drop if they're not changing it out. But if they're running the same ad or the same type of ad, because you'll be able to see all the ads at once. But if they're running the same type of ad over 90 days, they found something that works. That should send off a light bulb. Whatever they saw, if it's your same audience and if it's your competition, you need to understand that, reverse engineer, see what they're doing, the type of content, the images that they're showing in here, because this can help to tell you, I may want to incorporate some of this content, some of the imagery that they're using into my on messaging to my audience, because obviously if they're running ads to it and it's been running over 90 days, it's working. Because if they're smart, you do not want to run an ad over 90 days if it does not work, because at that time you're wasting money. Okay. Okay. So in here, when you run the analysis here, you can see if the ad is active, how long it's been running, because it shows here when the ad began. So all of these ads here are almost, because I'm seeing April 2nd. Let me see if they have older ads. All these are April. But it shows all the ads that they ever run. Now, obviously, your competitor are not going to have this many ads unless they're working with an agency. But 9 times out of 10, they're not going to have this many ads. This is a ad company. This is a media company running ads, so they're obviously going to have ads. But I'm trying to see if they have an older ad that has been running for a long time. March. Okay. So this is one of their older ads that's still active. Let us in March, but you can actually click on it to see information on the ad, to see the image that they use. This is obviously in Spanish. And then so you can see a lot of information on what they're running in the ad. And like I said, if the ad has been running for a long time, especially over 90 days, you want to take a lot of information from that, because it's going to help inform you on what you need to incorporate into your own content. Okay. So, like I said, I did not want to use one of the designers in this area. That's why I had used this company here. But when you do the analysis, if none of your competition is actually running ads on any of the platforms, because you can also do this with Instagram as well, because as you know, Facebook owns Instagram, so you can see the same information on Instagram. But if none of your competition is actually running ads, then that tells you that it's not really worth it for you to run ads, in terms of, because mainly why you want to run ads on social media is for 2 reasons in this industry. There's a lot of other reasons in other industries, but in this industry for 2 reasons. One, you want to help with the brand awareness, to get your information out there to your audience and to everybody, and to lookalike audiences like your audience, or you want to get leads. So those are the main 2 reasons that you would run ads in this industry. And if none of your competition is actually running ads, either if they are running ads and it's not on social media, it may be through Google or one of those platforms, and or they're really not trying to use social media as one of the platforms to get their message out. Because I would say most of the designers and outlets nowadays know that that overall engagement across all platforms have dropped. And so they may not be as active on the ad side, but where you may not see it on the ad side, you should see it in the organic posts that they do. And if they don't have anything on the ad side, or they don't have any post side, don't even use them as competition, because obviously they're not doing anything that you want to learn from. Because the whole purpose of this is for you to learn information that's going to help you in your own content. So if they're not doing anything on either the ad side or the organic side, scrap them and replace them with another competitor. Okay. So that is an overview of what I had wanted to go over today, and then I'll head back to the homework high level. So like I said, if you have somebody helping you in-house, it's going to be a little more that I want you to do. I want you to look at least 5 competitors, 3 that you already know, 2 that you find from social. that you find from search, and do at least 6 months, if not a year back, looking at all of their information. And then if it's just the owner, you don't have help, only find three. Two of them that you know, one from search, and then look at just the content aspect on all of the platforms that they're on. Okay. Any questions? Was this helpful?
Yeah. Have any? I don't think I have any questions, but it's helpful.
Okay. Like I said, you'll be surprised how much information you can find out from competitors, but it's a good analysis to do. And I would suggest that you do this at least once a year. Just when you're doing planning for the new year, just to do it whenever you're planning for 2026. Have this as a part of that analysis as well, just to see what's happening now, because it can help inform you on how you need to do your marketing for the upcoming year. Okay. Did you have anything to add, Maria?
No, I just think that having the hard numbers really is the reality check that we all need. I think there's been a whole lot of advice out there, but seeing those hard numbers and understanding what's really happening out there is eye-opening.
Yeah. And this was something, honestly, too, when our team did this, because I forever have said, 5%. But then when I saw when we had looked at this last week that it dropped to 2%, that made me say, like, wow, it's even worse than it was like years ago. It's like less than 2% of your audience see what you post. That should let you know you do not need to post every day. you don't. Okay. So yeah, if there isn't anything else, next week Maria is going to talk about a new social media platform, and you could briefly say something on that, Maria, if you want to.
So it's not like a hurry up and jump on it thing. It's the idea that there is going to be an evolution in social media where we're going to have more like a website presence where we own our platform and it automatically posts all the different channels. Like it has a TikTok version, a Instagram version. And so basically the entry point for a software developer to create their own new and innovative social media feed and independently be done, and everybody's content is already living on it. And whatever new version of the social media content is that rolls out that someone puts together automatically includes all of your content, no matter what. So all you're doing is creating something in the feed, and it's chronological. It's not based on your following. It's literally how many times you post and what you have in there. And is it like gonna change your whole entire world and are you gonna become a celebrity from it? No. However, it's always going to be present everywhere. And if it does take off, it's really good to already have some kind of foundational information already there because of the way that it's set up. Like Jason's business could be like, I'm going to create a social media platform that looks exactly like Instagram. And then let's say Morgan comes on and says, hey, I have a software development team and I want to create a format like TikTok. And then you have, Jeff and Sharon are like, oh, I want to create a Twitter looking feed. What happens is this Blue Sky, it holds your content and and you post like a website and you own that website. You can even host it on your own computer. And then what happens is it doesn't matter who creates a format. They don't own the content in it. They just have created a framework to which it's displayed and consumed. It's very interesting. And, it may not benefit a company because it doesn't have the advertising aspect to it, but we're going to learn about it. We're going to look at it and we're going to see how all of this connects. And then that way y'all can make your own business decisions at this point on how you want to handle it. But I think it's just good to have awareness.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's what we'll talk about next week. And if you have any questions on the homework next week, feel free to ask them at that time, or you can email us in the meantime. And like I said, I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on ads, and I didn't really even talk about ads because of everything that has been changing. But like I said at the start, if anybody here is running ads in-house and you want us to do an analysis, I'll be happy to have my team, take a look at it. We'll offer suggestions to help you, because the one thing I do not want you to do if you run ads is waste money. And if you are using a lot of these platforms, if you're not keeping up to date with the changes, you will be wasting money. So that's
well,
the whole
too,
point.
Jason,
Yeah.
did you see the congressional hearing on Facebook that's happening right now? Yeah. Social media changes. I mean, I think we had the conversation last week that TikTok was going away, and 12 hours later, they decided they're going to delay it for 90 days. And currently, right now, Meta is in a congressional hearing for selling all of its content on All of Us to China. Like, it literally sold it all to China. And so now they're being investigated by the government. But, every week, social media changes dramatically. Yeah.
So, like Maria talked about last week, you really only need to post once a week. That's really it. But the whole purpose of this analysis, for the day, is not so much about social media. It's about helping you with your overall content strategy. Okay.
Yeah, I love it.
So if y'all don't have any other questions, we've hit the top of the hour. So I will let you all go. And if you have any questions, y'all can reach out to us. And if not, we will see you all next week.